Welcome, everybody, to today's edition of Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LeBears Casino. Ronnie Rance here with you on behalf of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, being joined by Tommy Krysan over at Tremonti's Meats in Baton Rouge. How are you, TK? How was your weekend?
I'm doing good, Ronnie. Long weekend, but it was all good, and it's actually game week for the LSU Tigers. That's got everybody fired up, and they're fired up here at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. They're selling the heck out of that brisket at $3.49 a pound for all the home gating parties. They're putting together some packages for people that will watch the game at home, where you got to take a little something to somebody else's house. Connect with Tremonti's Meat and Seafood on Facebook and Instagram. Everything's posted there. Tremontis.com is the website. You can get it all there. People need to get in here and see all the things they have at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood.
Well, I tell you what, this was the first weekend I felt like a real football weekend. You had a bigger slate of college football games. You actually had a top 25 matchup between Miami and Louisville, which was a thrilling game, and Miami won on the road. You had an exciting Navy comeback. Tulane had a 24-0 lead in the third quarter. They blow it. Navy comes all the way back, scores 27 unanswered. Biggest comeback in midshipman history, and it happened right in New Orleans. There was a lot of excitement. But yesterday in the NFL, the nightcap, the Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks, even though no Tom Brady, it was Cam Newton, but Russell Wilson was still there. The last three games, the game has literally ended on, come down to the 1 yard line. Literally ended on the 1 yard line. Last 5 games, it's been 7 points or less. I want to go to the final play of the game. It's New England's got the ball 3 seconds to go, no timeouts, on Seattle's 1 yard line. What did you think prior to that play was going to happen? What was going to be the play, and what would you have called?
Well, I've always felt you gotta roll out. You got to have that run pass option. Couple of guys to throw it to. If you see a seam, try to dart into the end zone. I mean, Newton weighs as much as a refrigerator, so you would plow some defensive back over, or even a linebacker. But that was a heck of a football game. The Seahawks got it done, and you just can't say enough about Russell Wilson and the football that he plays. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And he, like Tom Brady over the years, had a lot of interchangeable parts. I mean, there's been different running backs, different receivers. It hadn't been that same group, But it was an interesting game. Patriots travel across the country, and somebody was going to be 2-0, and it ended up being Seattle.
I think Russell Wilson, it's right now through 2 weeks, Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers probably splitting the MVP award. But Russell Wilson's play is next level. I know he threw the pick 6 on the first drive of the game, but 5 touchdowns thereafter, quarterback rating, even with the pick 6, over 130. He was outstanding. To me, he's like a fine wine. He's getting better each and every year. But that last play, I agree with you, TK. You have to have a run-pass option when it's the final play of the game, right? And Seattle, if you watch the highlight, Seattle, literally 10 of the 11 defenders for Seattle were across the goal line. They blew that play up right from the get-go. And the fact that if you're going to decide to go quarterback sneak, quarterback run on the final play, I would rather have my 6'5" quarterback be under center and do the Drew Brees leap and stick his arms out and reach it across the goal line, quite honestly. Cam Newton's not as fast as he used to be. He's not as elusive as he used to be. And if you're going to put him in the shotgun, let him take the snap and have one of those tight ends, even on both sides, do the hold release, type of deal. Block initially and then release into the flat, to where he's got that option to do the jump pass like Tebow did or whatever. I just hate having, it was a high school play. Quarterback and just do the quarterback run from the 1 yard line. I felt like that was an obvious call. You got to have a little trickeration, have an option, have a plan B.
Yeah, I've always liked in that situation a little misdirection, where you make it look like we're going short side or wide side of the field, and you do that counter flip to the back going the other way, and just trust that he can find a way to get it over the goal line, Because in the NFL, you got to get people going in the wrong direction. Right. Now, they can recover quickly, but in this case, 1 yard line, they don't have time to recover. It's not like you're 4th and 4 and you got to get 4 yards plus. So, hey, I'm sure that the Patriots are shaking their head a little bit, and they'll have a better plan next time they get in that spot, I would think.
We talk a lot about Russell Wilson and how good he's playing right now. They look like the cream of the crop in the NFC West, at least through the first couple of weeks. Cam Newton, how's he looking in a Patriots uniform, and is this experiment, if you will, going to work? Because if so, they got him at a good value.
Well, they got him at good value. You're correct. If he can stay healthy, and I've always said this about Cam Newton. It doesn't look like he's going full speed. Even when he drops back, that little 3-step drop out of the shotgun, it doesn't look like he's got urgency with him, but he's obviously, accomplished a heck of a lot. He got a team to a Super Bowl, et cetera, et cetera. But, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out going forward. But for the price they paid, I mean, you got to say thumbs up to it.
We're not going to talk about every single game that happened yesterday, but two others I want to hit on. One, if you're a New Orleans Saints fan, you were smiling as the Cowboys scored 2 touchdowns in the last 5 minutes, come back and break the hearts of the Dirty Bird Falcons, 40-39. I don't think anybody gets onside kicks unless it's going against the Saints or the Falcons, because the way the rules are set up, where you got to have 5 on each side, you can't take the run and start. I mean, it just makes it almost impossible to get an onside kick these days. How did the Falcons butcher that?
Special teams coaching. I mean, the receiving team can get the ball before it goes 10 yards.
Right.
Put an end to it, okay? And you're supposed to, quote unquote, have your hands team out there, guys that practice this and know what they're doing. Maybe in this shortened preseason stuff, maybe there wasn't enough work on special teams in the Falcons camp. But, Ronnie, it was pointed out to me this morning, the NFL now, they do this thing, percent to win the game as the game goes on. And the Falcons yesterday and in the Super Bowl with New England, that's the 2 lowest, latest time of the game percentages with a chance to win. And it both happened to the Falcons. I don't know if they can shake this. I mean, they've still had trouble shaking the Super Bowl thing. And, of course, the New Orleans Saints fans remind them about 28-3 every chance they can get. It's brutal on social media. Well, now the Cowboys will do the same thing. That's a game the Cowboys shouldn't have won, but they did.
Yeah, that's one of those that you have a feeling is going to come down and make a difference in the postseason. The other big comeback is the Kansas City Chiefs. They look like they were down and out in this game, just like they did in the Super Bowl. Through 3 quarters, the Kansas City Chiefs weren't in the Super Bowl. 3.5 quarters. And something about Patrick Mahomes, man, if you didn't think he was the best player in the NFL, he told you once and again he was the best player in the NFL.
Well, it's kind of like they used to say about Brady. The team's not out of it when you got him on the sidelines, which some of the Falcons said during that Super Bowl. Well, you don't have the Chiefs beat until the clock says 0-0-0. That's when you beat the Chiefs. And proof, the oldest thing in the books in football, little kids here, you got to play 4 quarters. You got to play every minute. Play 60 minutes in college and pro. And, the Chiefs seem to be poised. Andy Reid, by the way, that face shield, that's going to be the most popular Halloween costume this year if we have costumes. But, you just don't – you always have a chance with Mahomes and the Chiefs. And here's the thing, right? Everybody on the sideline believes that. Even the defensive guys, they know that, hey, we got Mahomes. Then how about that kicker? 3 for a quarter, huh? From 53, then the penalty, then the timeout. He drilled all 3 of them. I mean, that's just part of the aura of the Chiefs now. That kicker should be player of the week in the NFL.
Yeah, Harrison Butker, 58-yard field goal in overtime. Whew, unbelievable. Clyde had a pedestrian game, 38 yards rushing, had a few catches.
They spelled his name wrong?
Yeah, they put the H-I instead of H-E.
They spelled his name wrong. How do you, in the NFL, how do you spell your guy's name wrong on a jersey?
I mean, did he lose a bet? I don't know. That was pretty funny. I saw
one of the college teams spelled their quarterback's name wrong last week, okay? A little different when you get to the NFL. They should spell your name correctly. Come on, Clyde. Shake them up.
The guy rushed for over 100 yards last week, and you can't get his name right? I mean, come on.
Yeah, they still spelled his name wrong. What you got to do to get your name spelled right in Kansas City?
Let's talk another story before we talk a little New Orleans Saints tonight. Primetime Deion Sanders, man. What is up with the state of Mississippi? You got Lane Kiffin. You got Mike Leach. You got primetime Deion Sanders. Now, Southern Miss, you're on the clock. I mean, you got to get they fired their coach, but they got an interim. We're waiting on Brett Favre. I mean, that would be the topper. But you got three big time names, and I did not believe primetime when he said back in January that he was going to be a head football coach in the NFL and college football this year. I thought that was ridiculous. We find out now that his high school team that he's assistant coach on out of Dallas area, his son plays for, they were playing over in Jackson. That's when he first met some people and got the conversation going. It was on the shelf till about mid-September, but here he is, introduced today, huge crowd. It was a press conference carried live on TV, and primetime sounded more like a preacher for the first 15 minutes of that press conference than he did a football coach. But that community is fired up, and I think it's a great hire for Jackson.
His name came up when Florida State was looking for a coach. And, you kind of, that might not work right away. But Jackson State, here's a couple things for you. The reason it took several weeks to do it, Deion's got a big deal with Under Armour. Jackson State's a Nike school. But how about this, Ronnie? You want a little numerology for you? Old number 21, Deion Sanders, named head coach on September 21st, and he's the 21st head coach in Jackson State history. Wow.
That's pretty
I think
cool.
It's great for the SWAC. It's great for Jackson State. It's great for Southern. I mean, that's just incredibly good. And if he has success, he'll end up, jumping to a big school.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case. I think there's a lot of schools that are waiting to see, how does this help Jackson State from enrollment, from a marketing standpoint?
Money.
They're gonna, if they're gonna get all sorts of sponsorship. They're gonna have games on national TV. This is gonna be a boom for the SWAC and for Jackson State. And you're right, he's not long for that program. I think I give him 2 years. Probably in Jackson State. They have a winning season or win this SWAC West Conference or East or whatever. If they win one of the divisions, he'll be gone. He'll be going to a big time school. And I guarantee you he's going to recruit and he's going to surprise some people. He's going to get some players, a handful of players to come there that probably could go to a Southland or a Sun Belt, but they're going to end up going to a SWAC school.
They're going to go play for primetime. Deion Sanders, he can tell the recruit, hey, I played in an NFL game and a World Series game on the same day. You come. I know how to get this done. I got connections all over the NFL. Come play for the Jackson State Tigers. They are going to make money galore out of this. Whatever they're paying them is going to be a good investment. They're going to sell tickets. They're going to sell merchandise. And prime time has arrived at Jackson State and the SWAC, and I think it's great.
It's great, but he still has to live in Jackson, Mississippi. Oof. That's rough. Moving from Dallas to Jackson, he ain't gonna be there long. Trust me, Coach. Their first game, by the way, late February against Mississippi Valley State. Jerry Rice, of course, old teammate of his with the San Francisco 49ers, a great Mississippi Valley State player. Guarantee you Jerry Rice will be there on the sidelines and probably honorary captain and all that kind of stuff. Going to be pretty fun. But Lane Kiffin, Mike Leach, hey, Southern Miss, you got to step forward and come up with somebody.
Maybe they'll hire Brett Favre.
That would be great. Brett Favre, though, has already said that he wanted them to hire Deion Sanders. Actually, last week he came out and said, but he did say that job wasn't for him. It was going to require too much work and all that. Too much time. See. So Brett Favre took his name out, but we'll see who they come up with. Another guy who's got a lot of run, and this surprised some people. Coach O featured on 60 Minutes in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of everything going on. Coach O on 60 Minutes, first LSU coach to make it on 60 Minutes.
Well, I watched it on YouTube this morning. Of course, everybody can watch us on YouTube. Subscribe at Sports Shorts, hosted by Ronnie Rance. So I got up this morning. I knew you were going to want to talk about it. I didn't catch it when it happened, so I watched it on YouTube. And I thought it was a well-done piece by CBS. Having his mom on there was great. She stole the show. And Coach O, for people that didn't know Coach O, they found out how passionate he is and how genuine he is and how much he loves to do what he does, and I thought it was A+. I mean, it was an outstanding piece, well-rounded, told the whole story. I thought it was great. I'll highly recommend people go watch that.
Yeah, I thought there wasn't anything you didn't already know if you're an LSU fan. There wasn't any revealing topic or anything. This is more for the masses that around the country that maybe didn't know so much about Coach O. But his mom definitely stole the show. She's a character. You know exactly where Coach O got his personality from and his speaking. They didn't touch on his personal life, didn't touch on the divorce or anything. I guess that was off topic. You know, it wasn't anything that he was willing to discuss. But I thought it was nice. And hey, look. It's great for LSU. You know, CBS comes out the week before SEC starts. They start this weekend. You know, hey, talking LSU, talking SEC football. Next week, CBS, LSU, Mississippi State, 2:30. So this was calculated. You know, they released it right before the start of CBS football season. But I thought what was interesting was a peek behind the curtain to see the power hour and all the assistant coaches in the war room, in the conference room, calling recruits and handing the phone to Coach O so he could get a minute with each guy. That was pretty neat.
That's impressive. And, you know, I liked how he said, you know, the guy said, what do you say when a kid tells you no? He said, you got to tell me that 1,000 times. It's no today, but that don't mean I'm not going to change it. You know, that's the relentless, you know, thing that happens in the recruiting game for all sports, for all schools. But Coach O may have it at a higher level, and that's why he and his staff continue to bring in, you know, top-notch recruiting classes. And then the key that they do is they develop them. It's two-step process. You got to get them on campus, and you got to develop them, make them better as the years go forward.
New Orleans Saints in action, Monday Night Football game. This was a game I actually, Tommy, was supposed to be at. I was supposed to be in Vegas, had a plane ticket, had a hotel room, was going to get a press pass, was going to be there for, you know, the grand opening of the Las Vegas Raiders' new, indoor football stadium that looks like a hockey puck from space. It's a beautiful facility. I thought this was going to be a loss for the New Orleans Saints on the schedule. You know, going there, good team, home game, first ever, you know, the atmosphere and everything. I just thought there'd be so much juice in that first game, kind of like the Saints Dome when they took on the Falcons in 2006 and Gleason blocked the punt. I thought this would be one of the ones that the Saints would lose when you're trying to figure out what their record would be. But now, you know, the team will be fired up, but they probably practiced in the Dome. So with no fans there, and there won't be any fans for the Las Vegas Raiders all year long, this is a coin flip game for the Saints.
Yeah, I know a lot of people like you that was supposed to be out there, did the plane thing, the room thing. Many of them weren't going to have a ticket, just wanted to be a part of the whole long weekend of fun in Las Vegas. Of course, we all know that changed. I think the Saints are running into a buzzsaw tonight. You know, the Raiders got a win last week. They're back home. I know there's no crowd, but, you know, the 5.5 point favorite, the Saints are on the road. That's odd in the NFL. I'm not so sure the Raiders don't get this one tonight.
So are you putting your money where your mouth is and betting Raiders +5 today?
I got them on the money line plus 202.
Oof.
I'm a money line guy, man.
You're a money line guy. I like it. Just got to be 1 out of 2, right? To be even.
Yep.
There you go.
Plus 202. I mean, 100 gets you, you know, $202.
Yeah, no,
that's good
not
return.
bad. I do.
But I got to win straight up on the money line. For those that don't know, that's why it's higher payoff, is because they got to win the game straight up, even though they're the underdog.
I tell you what, 5.5 on the road, first game ever in the stadium and everything. That is going to be a tough one. I'm curious how much it would have been if the fans were in the stadium, right? You know, what that number would look like. I'm sure it wouldn't be 5.5, it'd be less, but I don't know what the odds makers and bookies are factoring that for.
That's what all the wise guys are trying to figure out, this no crowd thing. You know, used to always think, 3-point advantage in the NFL at home due to the crowd. And for years, the Saints would label 4 or 5 points because they're so loud in the Dome and the Saints fans are crazy and all that. But so the NFL, the wise guys who set these lines, they're still trying to tinker with that a little bit, and they'll get good. Believe me, they'll figure it out. It may take a week or two.
Lastly, the U.S. Open happened, and you know normally this would be this U.S. Open would have taken place in the summer, and there would have been hundreds of thousands of fans through the turnstiles at Winged Foot right outside of New York City. One of the great legendary golf courses, and didn't happen. Nobody was there. But Bryson DeChambeau, who's kind of been the story of the year, he and Dustin Johnson been the biggest 2 names people have been talking about. Mainly DeChambeau because he's changed his 6'1", 240 pounds, hits it a mile, and all of a sudden he's somebody everybody's talking about. but he put it all together for a big guy. He's got great touch. And on the last day, came from behind. Wasn't the leader going into Sunday, but DeChambeau with his little funny Payne Stewart hat wins the U.S. Open.
Yeah, he just overpowered the course. The course was very difficult. The rough was tough. All the U.S. Open stories you get every year. He's the only golfer to finish under par, and that's the greatest golfers in the world from all over the world. He overpowered that golf course. He had the strength to get the ball out of the rough. His short game is phenomenal. I mean, I don't know how long his little run's going to last, but he's a U.S. Open champion. Like he said, I can't believe this happened. I mean, you could tell how much it meant to him. He has worked very hard, like all them golfers do. Maybe he's just worked a little bit harder, and he's very analytical. He has brought analytics to the golf game. We've seen that arrive in baseball and football and other sports. But he has changed it, and they're going to be some people to copy that. Like the NFL's a copycat league, PGA Tour is a copycat. You watch how many guys are going to be bowed up next year playing golf and just trying to overpower the golf course. He put on, 35 pounds. But don't sell this guy short. He can putt. He's got a short game, and he outthinks the golf course in many cases.
Sometimes overthinks. It was interesting earlier in the week on the Golf Channel. They took a big water bottle, like a tall water bottle, and they put it in the rough, and the rough covered up the water bottle. So I mean, you're talking 8 inches, 10 inches of rough.
Like you and I couldn't even hit the ball out of that rough. We might advance it a foot. Buzzy might advance it 2 feet since he's 3.1. But seriously, I played at Oakmont many years ago, and the rough was like I'd never seen. I couldn't move the ball more than a foot or so unless I got super duper lucky and it flew 10 yards when I might have been trying to hit it 100.
Yeah, that's the thing that you don't see on TV. And I played it up in Kohler, Wisconsin, where they were going to have the Ryder Cup this year. What is that? Whistling Straits. When LSU played Wisconsin up there a few years back in football, Les Miles' last year, I got a chance to play that course. And that was the thing that stood out the most for me was when you were in the rough. And when I say rough, I mean 10, 15 feet off the fairway. All you're trying to do is just sand wedge it back onto the fairway. There's no try to whip out the 5-iron and go for the green because it just eats up your club. And that's the part you don't see on TV. You don't get is at those major tournaments, a lot of them, particularly the U.S. Open and at PGA and all, where the rough is so thick. That's where they make up for it. They know the guys can hit it 300 yards. It's the fact that if you're not in the fairway, you're going to pay a price, and a heavy one.
Well, a couple of weeks back, Dustin Johnson was 29 under par.
Right.
We always see 15 to 20 under par a lot of these courses at the end of the tournament. Only one guy was under par in 4 days at Winged Foot. Now that speaks for itself.
That's all you need to know. Tomorrow on Sports Shorts Daily, we will hear from Glenn Dorsey. He will be our guest tomorrow. He's one of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame class of 2021 that came out last week. You can see more information at lasportshall.com. He joins the like of Ricky Weeks and many, many others, Marcus Colston, and we're going to hear from them over the next week or two here on Sports Shorts Daily. But just before we go, Tommy, your memories, thoughts, whatever, of East Ascension Spartan and LSU Tiger great Glenn Dorsey.
Well, a lot of people don't know this. Glenn Dorsey is the most decorated LSU football player ever with all the awards and recognition he got. And then there's some absolutely great players at LSU, from Tommy Casanova, Charles Alexander. We go through the list. We'd be here forever. Glenn Dorsey received more awards and recognition than any LSU football player. And, of course, he spent a little while in the NFL. East Ascension High School down in Ascension Parish in Gonzales, and came to LSU, was a force, made a difference for the Tigers. He got better, and again, he's the most decorated LSU football player. I'm so happy that you guys are putting him in. Y'all got an unbelievable class. People need to go to lasportshall.com and check it out. And I'm glad you're going to have Glenn on tomorrow. I look forward to watching that.
Sports Shorts Daily, all you can do is you can subscribe to our page on YouTube. Go to Sports Shorts, hosted by Ronnie Rance. Also follow us on Facebook. Just click on the like button on Sports Shorts, and we'll each day around midday is when we'll have our weekday videos. Tommy over at Tremonti's, great place to eat.
Yeah, Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. The brisket's $3.49 a pound. They're putting together some home gating packages. You're going to watch the Tigers this weekend. They got everything you need here. Meat, seafood. You see all the liquor behind me. They got the wine. They got the beer. They got hamburgers, seafood, sausage, Chairman's Reserve beef. You can't go wrong. Connect on Facebook and Instagram, Tremonti's Meat and Seafood, or go to their website, tremontis.com. Lunch specials as well, every day, daily lunch special.
All right, we'll hear from Tommy in a couple days tomorrow. Glenn Dorsey will be our guest on Sports Shorts Daily. Check us out. Have a great day, everybody. Go Saints.